Sebastian Cruz here, the founder of True Freedom, which is a mastermind group for mastermind leaders. And what's top of mind right now is what I've shared right now in a mastermind call I was just on, starting with a quote from Abraham Lincoln that goes like this: "A house divided cannot stand. A house divided cannot stand." And our way of saying that would be: a team divided cannot win. A mastermind group divided cannot win. And as I shared with everybody on the call today, I asked, well, what does winning mean for us? It's pretty simple. We're a referral network. So winning means referrals, where everybody is making more money and creating more impact while having a lot more fun along the way, because they're doing it part of a team rather than being a lone wolf, where no matter who we are, no matter what we've done, I believe if we're doing it the lone wolf way, we're so much weaker than we could have been with the team. We're so much slower than we could have been with the team. It's so much more complicated than it could have been with the team. So what does politics have to do with us working together? I believe it's everything. Because divided we are weak, united we are strong. But how? How when the intensity is just getting higher and higher? How when we just saw a president have an assassination attempt on his life? And now, not a short time after, the other president who was planning on running has dropped out. I believe things are just going to continue being intense. So we can either put our fingers in our ears as a team and just pretend like nothing's happening. Try to drown out the noise. Well, in many years, many decades, I'm sure that would have worked, but not in today's age that we're living in. Things are too intense. The stakes are too high. So if we don't pretend like nothing's happening, or if we back down from what we truly believe, then we're weak as well. Because what's our goal? Our goal is to work together with simplicity and maximum impact. So a short story on how we can do this. I shared Abraham Lincoln's story. So if things are intense right now, which they are, once upon a time, they were even worse. And that was the United States at civil war with itself. The North was fighting the South. Americans were killing Americans. Families were even fighting against families. Cousins, brothers, were that dividing line between the North and South that was divided through territories, cities, towns, family homesteads. And certain family members chose one side, others chose the other side. We're literally at war with each other. 700,000 Americans were killed. To put that in perspective, that is the size of Denver, Colorado. Imagine every person in Denver, Colorado, every American killed. So who was the leader during that time? What did he do? His name was Abraham Lincoln, and he did something that nobody ever expected. He took his political rivals and put them into his cabinet, put them into his inner circle, put them into his mastermind group. His council, his sacred allies, put them together to work together. People could not believe it. People couldn't believe it. How could you put this person in your cabinet? How could you even be in the same room as this person, let alone have them be a part of your inner circle? That's what they would ask him. They'd say, the things that Republicans said about you, the way that they attacked your character, your family, your policies, how could you do this? Why would you do this? Other people said, how could you bring that Democrat in your council? the lies they said about you, the attacks they did on you. How? And he said a quote that I'll never forget, which essentially was this: these are the greatest minds our nation has to offer. And if I don't unite them to work together, I will be doing our nation the greatest disservice in the time when we need it most. And so that's what he did. Republican, doesn't matter. Democrat, doesn't matter. Independent, doesn't matter. We've got a nation to save. We've got people that are hurting. So we better figure this shit out and do it together, because that's the only way we'll survive as a nation. Now, of course, that's my interpretation on the end there. And that's the spirit that I feel. And that's the spirit that I shared in these mastermind calls. So what happened? Did they get together? Did they cast off their labels, hold hands, kumbaya, and then just ride into the sunset? No, of course not. Human nature is human nature. People are people. People got opinions, people got egos, people got all different things. However, what brought them together was one single mission: save the nation. Because America had plenty of enemies, nation enemies, that were watching, waiting with glee for the strong nation to tear itself apart, so that those nations could come in, swoop in, take back territories, take new territories, and this grand experiment of the people being able to think for themselves and decide their rulers, that grand experiment would explode and dissolve, and things would go back to the way they used to be. Where leaders were put in power based on their lineage and winning the genetic lottery of who they were born to. So it was not easy, but they got together, shared mission, shared values. And what happened? It didn't happen overnight, but it was many years where three things happened. They won the war, they freed the slaves, and they saved the nation. So I believe if they could do it then, we can do it now. Especially as leaders in our mastermind groups and our teams. They were doing it at the highest level, at the nation. We can do it in our bubble that we have, our group that we have, that we're leading. So as I shared on the call today, I don't expect everyone to have the same beliefs in this group. I don't expect everybody to have the same perspectives in this group. What I do expect is respect. And I pledge to lead through example. Now, I might not like a person's opinion that they have. I might not agree with it. However, as a team member, pledge that respect to hear them out. Because iron sharpens iron. One perspective just locked in one way is missing different perspectives. And that's what I believe why this is the source of our greatest power. That is the American ideals spirit that resonates so strongly with me and always has, that we are a nation of rebels. At our core, at our identity, our fabric is the spirit of saying, you know what? I get to decide what's best for my life. I get to be the captain of my own ship. Not some king sitting in a throne, not some queen sitting in a throne. No, me. And you. And that spirit is what I feel. And that's what I personally could care less. Black, white, orange, green, purple, whatever. To me, as an American, we have the same DNA. We have the DNA of freedom. We have the DNA of having this crazy part of us that wants to think for ourselves, that wants to be the captain of our own ship. And it's the United States of America, 50 different states spread out all across this land. If you've ever driven on a road trip through the United States of America, I cannot recommend it enough. I drove from Minnesota all the way down to California, stopping along states along the way. So many different sites, so many different people, so much different architecture. We have so many differences. And if we don't have a shared purpose, that is our weakness. So many other countries that are all on the same playbook, so to speak, have way more advantages to us when we are not focused on the mission. However, I believe that source of differences, when focused on the mission, is our source of inexhaustible strength, because that is the spirit of freedom. That is the spirit of truth. That is the spirit of the human spirit that I believe cannot be contained, that cannot be stopped. Yes, it can be slowed down, but over the span of time, that cream rises to the top. That's what I believe. So why is it important that we speak about this politics? Because our mastermind group is the microcosm to the macrocosm. Why is it important that we have different viewpoints at the table so that we can get to the most effective things to do much quicker, much more simple? So one thing I'll close with here today, and I'll share with you. So I ended this call with, which is respect. With respect. Shared values, shared vision, bringing respect. With that, I believe we can do anything as a team. Without that, we're nothing. We're nothing. So my question for you is, what stood out to you from this story from Abraham Lincoln? What stood out to you, what resonated with you with this story and this truth as an American of our history, our lineage, that this spirit of strength through unity is a part of all of us, for us to draw back from and bring into today. So what resonated with you? What takeaway came up for you? And I'll sign off with that. A house divided cannot stand. A team divided cannot win. A mastermind group divided cannot win. But united with the shared vision, shared mission, our differences become our greatest strengths.